Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so happy to be spending time again with Nikki G. Hey, Nikki, how are you?
Hey, Ann, I'm glad to be back. So fun to be here.
Oh, it's always fun to hang out with you. It truly is. So, Nikki is a certified trauma recovery coach, and we got to know each other last year. And as soon as I started talking to her about what she did, I'm like, damn, straight. She's going to come on and talk to you guys because she's got an awful lot to offer and a really fantastic story. She is NikkiGSpeaks.com. Just a second, I'll put your banner up there. Here we go. Right there, Nikki G Speaks. So she's been a guest speaker in my Clarity Seekers community before, and we're going to be talking tonight about how to handle the holidays. And our topic is called "You Can Thrive During the Holiday Season." Believe it or not. But many people really struggle with it. The family dynamics gets a little rough, and for those who are energetically sensitive, possibly empaths, they might be just emotionally sensitive. Maybe they're master 11s, maybe they're life path 9s. There's a whole category of you guys out there that might really struggle with the whole holiday season. I mean, the idea of spending time with family is like, ugh. So Nikki's going to give us some really great strategies. This is in preparation for a full talk that we're going to be doing on Tuesday, October 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be in the Clarity Seekers community, which used to be the Master Number 11 membership, but now it's open to everybody. So you might want to check it out. There's the website for it there, Clarity Seekers community. So Nikki, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your story and how you got into this work. Maybe we can set the stage in that respect so everybody kind of knows where you're coming from.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our speaking engagement today with Miss Ann. I appreciate coming in and talking about how we can thrive through the holidays. And the reason why I talk about this topic is because of the many drama sessions, if you will, that I've been through navigating through the holiday time. I am a survivor of a narcissistic family system. I'm also a survivor of multiple narcissistic relationships, and I'm also a survivor of 5 different cults. I know that's a mouthful,
Yeah.
but I am an 11 too. So for those out there, that may make sense.
Sure
That may
does.
make sense.
Yeah.
But somehow or another, through all of that I just described, over the years, I got a chance to just, during the breaking of me process and constantly navigating through all these toxic relationships, and I didn't even know they were toxic. I didn't understand that I came out of a narcissistic family system. I didn't know any of that. I just knew the pain I was carrying. I was tired of the cycles that I was constantly in bad relationships. And I said, okay, this is enough. I have to figure out what's going on. Everybody walked away. The last cult I left was about 7 to 8 years ago. And that was the opportunity to actually start to educate myself on what I've been through, to get some therapy, but mostly to do the work on myself and actually turn inward and started to see some of the coping mechanisms, the unhealthy coping mechanisms that I had, the things that I didn't understand about my family cycle and developmental trauma that kept me on this road to just one narcissistic relationship to another toxic relationship. Once I started putting the pieces of the puzzle together, it was like, wow, I can't believe I'm still here. I can't believe that I know my name. I know where I live. Like, honestly, it should have taken me out, but it didn't. And as I started to heal, and then turn and look towards my daughter and help her heal through a lot of what I brought her through as a single mom. And I had no desire to do this work, but around 2020, the universe was like, hey, looking at you, been looking at you. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready.
You're up.
I'm up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I want to do this to get. I want to do this to give hope, to let people know that you can thrive through a lot of this crap that we find ourselves in life. And now I'm a trauma recovery coach. I help people through narcissistic relationships, narcissistic family dynamics, those who have been through religious abuse, spiritual abuse. and cult involvement. Because a lot of those survivors, particularly all that I named, they feel the most lonely. They feel the most unheard, and society doesn't necessarily have a lot of supporting tools for them to say, hey, I'm not crazy. This is something that happened to me. And so this is part of why I do the work that I do.
I love it. I love the fact that you have turned your own personal trauma into triumph, really, and that your vulnerability is actually your strength. You know
Yeah.
that you've pushed it forward. And I really feel that that is so important when we're looking for our purpose. When we're looking for our
Yes.
purpose, we don't typically have to look too much further away than our story.
Right.
Our own personal story, and you take from that. And I just love what you do. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you. I do too.
So I wanted to mention to you, if anybody has any questions, by all means, put them in the chat box and we will answer them as we go along for sure. Hey, Esther, good to see you. Really nice to see you here. And yes, she is telling her story, and I love that. I love that about Nikki. So Nikki, is anybody exempt from this? I mean, what does a person who is a survivor of narcissistic abuse and such, what do they look like? Is anybody exempt from this?
Well, unfortunately, narcissism is kind of brooding throughout the planet, especially in 2022. You can see the traits all over.
Yeah.
And to some degree, I know that it is overly used in society as well. But when we think about people who are more vulnerable to being narcissistically abused, we think of empathic people, people who are deep feelers, highly sensitive people. I find myself in those categories.
Right.
You can, chime in as far as, which life path you think are
Mm-hmm.
more susceptible to being attracted to these type of people, and I like to preface and say this to those who have experienced this. It's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Narcissistic abuse, spiritual abuse, it's very hard to detect. It's very cunning. It's very covert. It's very sly. And unless you understand its tentacles and understand how it works, it's very easy for the most educated person, the most highly acclaimed person, a doctor can get caught up in this.
Mm-hmm.
A professor from an astute university can get caught up in this. It's not something that people who are undereducated or have social economic issues. This only happens to them. It happens across the board, no matter what your gender, your race, or your place is on the globe. So yeah.
I'm always thinking about it from a numerological perspective, of course, because that's
Yes.
kind of with the way I'm wired.
Mhm.
And I find it really interesting when I think about the numerology behind it, because when we talk about the people pleasers, the people who want to
Yes.
be of service, right?
Yes.
Well, the twos are
Mhm.
the ones that, hey, Linda, the twos are the ones that are very much the people pleasers.
Yes.
And the sixes have a need to be of service to their
Mhm.
home and to their family. So they
Mhm.
have a tendency to kind of get maybe roped into this kind of thing a little more so, because they're all about, serving their home and their family. So
Yes.
Christmas, for example, Thanksgiving and whatnot, it's
Mhm.
always such a big deal and huge
Mhm.
expectations set up for themselves. And then
Mhm.
the nines have the interest in being of service to the planet, right? So they're the
Yes.
ones
Yes.
that are the healers and the fixers, and
Mhm.
you come on over here, and they're the soft and warm, fuzzy places to fall.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you know, but gosh, I mean, this need to please, I think that's just a human
It is.
condition, isn't it? Because everybody has a need to belong.
Right, right. And that's the thing, that need to belong and the need to please, they're kind of almost on the same coin, just different sides,
Right.
And I think what helps people to evolve and to grow is not taking ourselves so serious when we realize, oh, I'm a people pleaser, or oh, I have some codependency traits, or oh,
Mhm.
sometimes I can be needy, especially our highly sensitive crew out there, or those who are empathic. This is part of the yin and the yang of how we're made up.
Right.
But once we are aware, let's not put the covers over our head and hide in the dark in shame, but say, you know what? Okay, this is some of the way I am have behaving. And a lot of times it's because we're looking for validation. We're looking to protect ourselves. We've never heard, especially if you come from a narcissistic family system, that your voice is valued and your choice is valued. And
Mm.
we want to see who you are. A lot of times those survivors never heard that. So you have more of a propensity to people please to get to hear that. You have more of a propensity to be codependent to get to hear that.
So then would you say that those people who are looking to please are a greater target
Oh, absolutely.
for the narcissists who just want to feed right off of them?
Absolutely. And
Right.
the tricky thing about it is narcissists are really attracted to empathic people, not
Yeah.
only but mostly. And
Right.
a lot of times they can pinpoint our traits, our strengths, and our weaknesses, sometimes more than we can.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to use the analogy like being at a ball or something like that, and the
Yeah.
narcissist is out on the middle of the floor, and he's looking for the next person to dance with, and he's scanning the crowd, and it's almost as if he can tell, okay, she, this person, she has a look, she wants to be loved, she wants to be, and we
Mm-hmm.
have the slightest idea that that's what we're emanating energetically,
So
and
it
we.
begins with us.
I'm sorry.
It really begins with us.
It does. It's not our fault,
No.
but it begins with us to understand our mix, how we are created, our energetic, what we emanate energetically,
Mm-hmm.
the unmet childhood needs that we have and we may not be aware of, and that's why I tell people, don't put the covers over your head. Once you find out, hey, I got some people pleasing tendencies, yippee,
Yeah,
because now
exactly.
you can work through it and find that balance, because wanting to please our mother or our father
Mm-hmm.
is a normal thing.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing, especially when you're a child, but even more so when you're an adult. You want them to be proud of your choices, who you connect with, who you marry, what vocation you choose. That doesn't go away. So there's some normalcy to that. But what happens is in those family dynamics, it becomes abnormal. And
Mm-hmm.
this excessive need to have our parents validate us can cause us to go down a long journey of abusive, toxic relationships, even outside of the family.
Esther's making a good point here. She says, especially when we're not aware of our special gifts.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's really,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, that's a great point, Esther.
Hmm.
Um, because it's true. If we don't know what we're good at, it's
Yeah.
hard for us to shine. It's hard for us
Yeah.
to feel comfortable with that. Our birth name brings in what we call the expression number, which tells
Hmm.
us what gifts and talents we've chosen to bring with us. But
Hmm.
as you're talking, I'm just thinking about, oh, how do I see this on a chart? And
Hmm.
people who don't have any B's, K's, or T's in their birth name, that vibrates the value of the number 2,
Hmm.
means that they've got a 2 karmic lesson, and that 2 karmic lesson
Mm.
relates to learning how to pat yourself on the back, rather than looking for validation from somebody else, rather than having that need to fit in, to be more comfortable in your own skin, that kind of thing. So,
You're speaking
yeah.
my life right now. So I'm sitting here like, mhm.
And
Yes, that's
yet,
exactly what I had to walk through. Hmm.
right, but yes, true. But when I'm looking at your name, it's got the 2 K's in there, right? So
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
you've almost got it's almost like overcompensation. When I see people that don't have any B's, K's, or T's, they have a tendency to be codependent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and that's exactly what as I understand it, that's exactly what the narcissist is looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And
ticks
like I
off all their
said,
boxes.
yes, and they
Mhm.
have a heads up on some of our tendencies, our weaknesses, our trauma responses. A lot of these things, codependency, people pleasing, a lot of these are responses from trauma or unmet needs. And
Mhm.
this is what we started to do. These are the patterns and the behaviors we begin to exhibit because of what happened, and you may not have come out of a narcissistic family system, but your voice was never heard as a child. You might have been
Mhm.
ignored. The way your parents showed love, it could have been in a weird way. Or some people, love and abuse went together. So unless there's
Mhm.
abuse in it, then, if it's no abuse, then it's like, this isn't really love. So
Yeah.
it gets really marred and skewed in the family of origin. And unless we become, like Esther said, aware of it, and aware of our gifts,
Yeah.
not just the traumas and the weaknesses, but aware of our gifts. I know that I am a light bearer. I know that I'm to bear light on this planet. So all the hell I went through, my
Mm-hmm.
light might have dimmed, but it's not going out. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that declaration that it's not going out is because I learned to start taking my power back, that I
Right.
am no longer a victim, but I have power to choose who I relate with, who I get into connection with. And
Oh,
that
choice.
by my choice,
Yeah.
having my own choice. And that
Yeah.
helped a whole lot in what I've walked through.
Yeah. Yeah. And understand and just owning your choices,
Yes.
whether they were good or
Yes.
they, no judgment, just own them.
Right.
Because if you don't own them, you're the victim,
Right.
right?
Right.
Life isn't
Mm-hmm.
happening to you, it's happening for you. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I think about, those, again, going back to numerology for a second, all the people that need to be of service. Quite often, the person who has this need to be of service, the sixes are the ones that come to mind. Anybody who has a dominant six in their chart, many of us do. I say us because I've got one.
Mm-hmm.
It relates to we have a tendency to measure our worth based upon how much we can give,
Yes, that's a good one.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's so interesting when I look at people's charts and I can just see the tendencies there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So Brenda Lee is asking, hey, Brenda Lee, by the way.
Hey, Brenda.
Brenda Lee is asking, she says, hey, Nikki and Ann, can you share suggestions of what not to say to a narcissist or how to respond to a narcissist?
Well, I always tell people this: don't tell them that they're a narcissist. That's the last thing you do. I mean, for some, it feels really empowering to say, hey, I looked it up. I talked to
Yep.
some people. I read a book. I watched some videos. And now I know, dun, 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 you are a narcissist and you've been narcissistically abusing me. That's the last
Mm-hmm.
thing you probably should do.
Mm-hmm.
That will invoke potentially something called narcissistic rage. When we tell them who they are, or what they've been operating in,
Yep.
to them it feels like something called a narcissistic injury. When
Oh.
they feel injured, when their personality feels injured or they feel exposed, because
Mm-hmm.
most of what narcissists do is all about their image. And if they
Yes.
feel like they've been found out, it
Mm-hmm.
can feel like an injury to them,
Yeah.
and it will provoke their rage. And when
Mm-hmm.
they get enraged, there's so many different things that they can do outside of physically harming someone. They know how to psychologically abuse, and when we're not aware, we're not really a good match for them. So I
Mm-hmm.
encourage people, once you know, first of all, that's awesome. Educate yourself. Learn about narcissistic abuse. Learn about the patterns and the tendencies. Learn about how it affected you. Then, perhaps once you've done that, get some support. Join a support group for narcissistic abuse survivors. Perhaps get a coach. Get some therapy to actually help you to see how the dance became,
Mm-hmm.
and
Good
and
point.
a lot of people stop at the education part. They get so obsessed with learning all about the narcissist, they forget to learn all about themselves.
It starts with us.
It
Yeah.
starts with us. If we
Yeah.
always externally look out here and never go in here, we're
Yeah.
missing a big recovery key. That's
Yeah.
why I kept going through all those cults. I could see the leader being abusive, but I didn't see how the things I brought to the table. I was
Right.
codependent. I wanted to be validated. I looked for someone to guide me.
Mm-hmm.
I looked for spiritual parents because the relationship I had with mine, that guidance wasn't there. And that was an unmet need. I wanted that nurture from a spiritual mom.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I came in with that, and the leadership already wanted to abuse and manipulate people, that was like a match made in heaven or
Yeah.
hell, whatever you call it. So, yeah.
I want to point something out here to Alma for a second. Alma, you've
Sure.
said, that's me. I'm sensitive and I'm a fixer.
Mm.
Wow. Are you ever tuned in there, girlfriend?
Mhm.
Because, yeah, you don't want to say anything. You don't, yeah, absolutely. You're the nurturer. But Alma, your growth number is a 9. Assuming that Alma is the first name published on your birth certificate, your first name vibrates at the 9. So the 9 is the empath. The 9 is the fixer. The 9 says, I'm going to put on my tights, on my cape. I'm going to swoop in. I'm going to fix everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so you are the extreme people pleaser. So recognizing that and understanding that your job is simply to help people to help themselves. It's not about you taking on that role of being the fixer, or the person to take it all on. It's not about that. It's more related to you helping to support somebody in a way that allows them to support themselves.
Right.
So that should take a lot of the weight off your shoulders. But that's just looking at your first name, and you're very much a leader, actually, looking at your name. You've got kind of leadership potential there, but you might be putting everybody else ahead of yourself a little too much.
Which is very typical for fixers and leaders to do. And when I went through all those dynamics, and this ties in with what you said to Alma, that I went through, I was like, you know what? I'm taking my cape off. Taking off, helping everybody. I don't care about humanity. I was in a self-loathing mode, yes, but I also needed a break from feeling like I had to be on to be the voice for everyone else. And I energetically threw my cape away. But I learned something in that time, in that pause. Go ahead, Ann. You were going to say something?
No, I'm just sitting like, go, you finish, and then I'll share what I just recognized about you.
Okay. Well, I want to hear it. I threw that cape away.
Yeah, I love it.
I had to learn how, I don't like to say fix. I had to learn how to not fix people or help people, but support people. And that's different. That's a different energy than fix or help. We can see needs all over on the planet.
Because you're the empaths.
Right. We can feel it. We can see it. But that doesn't mean we are supposed to erase ourselves in order to try to solve all and answer all the needs around us. So like even the work that I'm doing now, I've always felt like I was supposed to do something like this. I didn't know if this was the topic, right? I said no every time. No, no, no. You know why? There was something in me that knew if I did it, I would be doing it from a people-pleasing standpoint, a fixing standpoint. And I knew that I was disassociating from myself, ignoring myself. And I did not want to do it that way. I didn't know how to fix that within me, but I knew I was not ready. When I said yes to the universe, I didn't feel like I was 100% ready, but I was aware of those propensities. And I said, like I said, I'm not doing this to get people and to fix people. Out of the abundance of what I do within myself and for myself and honoring myself, I'll come alongside people and support them. Total different energy.
Yeah. So.
Give it to me, Ann. Come on.
So, ready. Nikki, your growth number is a 9 as well.
See that?
I think that's too funny. I mean, I just find that so interesting. Yeah. So, but when we look at the there's all kinds of ways to split. We can split hairs all over the place. But your birth name, Nikki, vibrates at the 9, and then it's just interesting listening to you talk and saying, "No, I'm not going there," and "No, I'm not going to do it," kind of thing. And your first name starts with an N, right? Which vibrates at the 5, which says, "At all costs, I want my freedom."
Yes.
I want my freedom.
Yes.
I'm going to, nobody's going to put me in a box. I need to break free of this. This is your growth number, right? I need to break free of this. And then that's, the 9 is, pardon me, your 9 is your growth number, but the N is your cornerstone of your name, which says, "I want my freedom." And the I at the end is another 9. I want to be free as I be of service, as I help to heal the planet.
Yes.
So there's freedom in that. And you're going to find the way to do it. So brilliant. Love it.
I love that too. Because what's the purpose of us coming to the planet and supporting those on the planet, and we get lost in it of itself? And being a survivor of a narcissistic family and multiple cults, I know what it feels like to be erased, to be, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Erase doing everything for everyone else and
Yeah.
myself coming last. And that's what happens during the holidays as well too. We put everyone else's needs, everyone, we want them to be comfortable. We choose to be uncomfortable. So we're going to go to the gathering. We don't want to go. We don't have the money to go. We
Yeah.
don't have the energy to deal with it, but we say yes anyway, because sometimes we have not connected with our voice, our needs, our agency, what feels good for us. And that's not being selfish. It's not being a mean person. It's honoring who you are. And
Yeah.
as an empath and a highly sensitive person, it's imperative that we connect with things like that so we can choose rightly. Otherwise, we keep depleting ourselves and diminishing ourselves. And then the things we set out to do for people on the planet don't get done, or they get done on a half baked level, so to speak.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. Good point. Very good point. Yeah, the holiday seasons can, it can be awfully tough for those
Yeah.
of us who are energetically sensitive, and we can be easily spent. And when you think about it, like there's no need of it. I know my partner's ex-wife was she's crushed every Christmas. She sets the bar so ridiculously high,
Hmm.
and expects so much from herself,
Yeah.
and has this huge image in her head of what this is supposed to look like. And
Hmm.
God bless her, it doesn't happen that way.
Right.
But there's a big, huge crash and burn every single year
Every
related to
year.
that, and just it breaks my heart. It really does. So there's got to be. Can you give us a couple of tips? I know we're going to expand upon this
Hmm.
in October
Next week.
25th.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be in our Clarity Seekers community. I'll give you some details on that here in a second. But Nikki's going to be really expanding on this subject. We'll be talking about, what strategies can we use? Maybe you can give me an example. Let's do a scenario.
Hmm.
You're walking into a family situation. You haven't spoken to your mom in several months.
Hmm.
Because you know that she dominates you all the time. She is the narcissist potentially. How do
Hmm.
you handle that? How would you suggest being able to make it through that?
Well, where I'm at in my life now, I don't even know if I would have made it to the.
You can say that. Here's the point. You can say no.
And that was going to be my first tip.
You
Just say no.
exactly,
And
right?
it sounds so easy and it's such a cliche, but it's so real. And that is so hard for some of us
Yeah.
because that desire to still please mommy, that
Yeah.
inner child that still looks for that validation, that doesn't want to be judged if they say no, that
Yeah.
doesn't want to feel ridiculed by perhaps the other family members because we're not going to go, or
Yeah.
feel guilty or shameful. We don't want to feel that, especially we've been through trauma already. That's the last thing we want to feel.
Yeah.
So we hide who we are for the holidays,
Yeah.
and we show up. And we show up knowing 9 times out of 10 we will be the target of conversation by the narc parent, to be ridiculed, to be judged of our choices. We know 9 times out of 10 our other parent, if they're still alive, will not support us, will not protect us. We go anyway, knowing that this is what the landscape looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And then we incur all this pain. We remind ourselves yet again, I shouldn't have come here. I know my
Mm-hmm.
family does this. Why did I do this? We feel regret. We
Yeah.
leave and we vow to never talk to them again. And next year we repeat this whole cycle.
All over again. Yeah.
So getting
You
back, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
you made such a good point when we were talking earlier before we even got on the call. You were talking about, setting that bar so high and thinking, I forget how you said it, but it was related to trying to kind of recreate all the Christmases that you'd lived
Yes,
before.
yes,
And
yes,
if like there was always a huge family meal, then of course I've moved out and I've got
right,
my own family now, but I have to recreate that, even though I'm going to be
yes.
nauseous and throwing up in the bathroom
Mm-hmm,
with anxiety around this whole thing, but
mm-hmm.
I'm still going to do it because it's the thing to do, right?
Right. And that's one of the things I'll talk about next week when we can
Yeah.
go a little longer, and I have some slides and things of that nature. And I'll
Yep.
go even deeper into that during the course that I'll be offering in November called Shining Your Light during the
Yeah.
holidays.
Oh, I just love that. I think
And
it's awesome.
it's our light, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of times it goes out to accommodate everyone else. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens if your light is allowed to shine bright during the holidays for
Mm-hmm.
you? And
Yes.
some of that, to do that and to get there, is the power of
Mm-hmm.
reclaiming your voice, your agency, reclaiming the holidays.
Yeah.
Some people hate the holidays because every year it's chaos, it's stress, it's trauma, it's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting with the family and it's just a mess. And so people have shut down emotionally and they used to like the holidays. So what
Yeah.
would that look like if this year, from now to the end of the year, whatever holiday you celebrate, that you choose you. And choosing you may still be to go to the gathering, but then to use your voice. For some, choosing you could be to say, look, you know, sorry, this year, my family, we're going
Mm-hmm.
to create our own memories this year. Thanks
Yeah.
for the invite, but we're going to do something. And if you say, hey, I'm single, I don't have that yet, what if this year reclaiming look like you create anyway? You go to a friend's house. You take that time for yourself. You write out things that you've experienced this year that's been good, bad, beautiful, and
Mm-hmm.
you write out what you want taking your power back next year to look like. You know, we don't really spend a lot of time with ourselves like we think, you
There's,
know?
yeah, there's so many things that you can do to take the pressure off. You know, when
Yes.
I remember, actually, it just came back to me. I remember years ago when I was absolutely dirt poor. I mean, I was
Mhm.
just absolutely broke. And I thought, oh my God, like I can't even keep the lights on in my house. How am I going
Mhm.
to afford to buy all the gifts and whatnot? And I came from a family where we didn't get a whole lot through the year. Mom saved it all up, and Christmas was huge and explosive and grand. And it was a real amazing thing.
Mhm.
But it was an expectation. I set myself up for that expectation to recreate that.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't do it that year. So
Mhm.
I heard an episode on Oprah
Mm.
where she said she remembered this her doorman at Harpo Studios. He would open the door for her every morning, and she was pleasant to him and respectful to him. And so at Christmas, he didn't have any money, but he wrote her a letter expressing what she meant to him, and he wrapped it all up and he gave it to her as the gift. And I thought, damn, I
Mhm.
freaking love that, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I did that for my
Mhm.
family members. I did that. That's all I had, right?
Right.
And then
And
a
that
couple of years later, I was kind of in the same boat again. And then they had this World Vision or something where you get the catalog, and I bought
right,
a
right,
goat.
right. Mhm.
Right? I bought a goat to support a family overseas who needed a goat, right? And I took that and I spread that out over several people in my family. So I would send a
Mhm.
message to my brother and I said, well, I bought a goat in your name.
Mhm.
Deal with it, kind of thing. And I
Mhm.
and I, when I shared, because the goat was, I don't know, $100 or something, but I
Mhm.
shared that around. And what it did was it took the bar down, because I knew there
Yes.
were other people in the family that were really stressing about,
Mhm.
making it happen like they did the year before, but maybe the year
Right.
before they were in better shape.
Mhm.
And it's not
Mhm.
about that. It's not about the gifts, right?
Yeah, and it's about honoring where you are.
That's right.
That's what I'm hearing, you know, you say in those examples, honoring
Yeah.
where you are and not being ashamed. You know,
Yes.
some years it may be, I'm not going to get my family anything. I know a neighbor down the street and around the
Yes.
corner who just lost their husband and they have 4 kids. My
Yep.
energy, my time and resources will be to give to that
Yep.
family.
Yep.
And the rest of my family members, this is what I did. And I'm here. My presence is the Christmas gift, like it
Yep.
or not,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I
So
love it.
finding out what your needs are, what honors your needs, and how you want to honor other people, but taking that time to reclaim
Yeah.
what the holidays mean. You know, some adults, when they were children, it was not a good time during
Yeah.
the holidays. There was a
That's
lot
right.
of loss, expectation, grief, you know, and just a lot of bad things happen. And so some people can't even emotionally touch this time of the year.
Mhm.
But and then
Mhm.
I understand that, and you tread lightly. But when you get to the point where you say, you know what, this has been horrible for me, but I actually want it back. I want to enjoy a Christmas tree, or I want to enjoy Hanukkah. I want to enjoy Thanksgiving. I want to enjoy New Year's. I want to
Yeah.
go see the ball drop. You know, I used
Yeah.
to hate doing that.
Yeah.
Reclaim it.
Yeah.
Reclaim it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it. You know what? If you're doing it for somebody else, they'll see right through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the truth. The energy is all wrong. I just wanted to address a question here
Sure.
from Esther, who says, I'm in the process of healing within myself at this point in life. Good for you, Esther. You go, girl.
Mm-hmm.
My birth name is Esther Garza. Any meaning of that for me? Yeah. So I did a quick look at that, Esther. Your birth name vibrates at a 22-4, so it's a master number.
Mm.
So there's that big need to make a contribution, a lasting contribution to society on some level. Typically, it's to help humanity on some level. The thing you need to understand is it's not you alone doing it, because when we look at it, you know, the 22-4, the 4 says, yeah, I want to build something solid, 4 posts in the ground. I want to build something. And the 22 are the sub lessons related to the 4. So that's double the need for cooperation, teamwork, collaboration, you know, gathering people together to assist you to be able to create that that foundation that you feel is so important for humanity.
Yeah.
And further to that, your name sort of goes in the same line as Nikki's does, because your first cornerstone letter, the E, vibrates at the N, which is about your need for freedom. And the last letter, the capstone of your name, is an R, which again brings in the 9, which is the healer, the fixer, you know, the person who wants to find a solution to things, who just wants to, you know, help everybody kind of thing. But understanding one of the things that you're here to learn is that there's freedom in understanding that you don't have to be all that, right? That you can step back from that and not take responsibility for the healing or the fixing, but rather help people to help themselves. So for example, if Nikki came to me and said, oh my God, Ann, you know, I need an apartment. Do you know anybody who's got an apartment for rent? I might say, yeah, I do. Just a second. I'll call him right away. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to write down that guy's phone number and hand it to Nikki and say, hey, there you go. Now you go phone him. You know, help that person to help themselves, rather than you jumping in, measuring your worth based on what you're able to do and disabling them, really, because you're not enabling them, or pardon me, you are enabling them. And it's not productive. So, hey, Heidi, good to see you. It's mini me.
And you know, sometimes when we jump in to help people and fix people, and we're taking away their freedom and their will, and their lesson, if you will,
messing with their karma.
We're messing with their karma, and we're taking away something that's precious to them and their life's journey to learn themselves, to individuate themselves.
Yeah.
And you know, I've come out of a family system where I've seen my mom do that with my brother, and you know, saving this and saving that, and you know, doing things, and that saving everybody through everything, it actually hinders their growth.
Yes.
Rather than helping support their growth. So when we go to fix and jump and put the cape on, let's think first.
Wow.
You know, are they going to miss out on a lesson because we are counteracting what the universe is trying to work with them with? So
I've worked on a lot of this stuff this year, my own personal stuff, facing some shadows and crap that we all have. It'll take a little longer than others to do to attack that stuff. But anyway, but I really recognized that I was very much a healer and a fixer towards my son, and taking responsibility for that. And I did a lot of work within the Akashic Records with Annette Dalou and Fiona Black and a bunch of people who were actually able to identify contracts that existed between himself and myself that needed to be addressed and released and healed so that we could move forward in our relationship. And it's unbelievable just how much clearer that is. So I don't feel that huge need to be responsible to him anymore. It's like I won't get into all the details, but there was a reason why I was completely stressed about him and his welfare. So
and it's very easy as mamas to go there, because I'm hearing you, but certain things are popping off for me for mine, especially when they get in that young adult stage. That sometimes
that's when you give birth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The rest of it's just pushing and shoving.
Yeah. My daughter's 21, so I totally understand what you're saying. You know, I know I look 21 myself, but yes, but I understand. But it is for their benefit.
Yeah.
That we and
Step
allow
back.
them to grow. And we're
Yes.
here if it
For our
gets
benefit too.
yeah, and our stress level, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah, but that whole thing to just jump in and save and fix people as
Yeah.
empaths and HSPs and maybe, 11s or twos or whatever number,
Mhm.
sticks out for you, and that we do this, that balance, coming
Yep.
into balance with that.
Brenda Lee made a good point. She says it sounds like narcissists teach us about having or recognizing setting boundaries.
Yes.
100%. And you know what? The biggest narcissist I ever knew was a guy that I worked with,
Mm-hmm.
and he made my life a living hell. I was crushed by this guy. When he found out I was in a relationship with his boss, he just
Mm-hmm.
completely went off on me. And it
Mm-hmm.
was very, very difficult for me. And I was so broken by it.
Mm-hmm.
I allowed him to break me for a while. And
Mm-hmm.
then one day I just dusted myself off and I went, you son of a bitch. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
You are the greatest thing that ever happened to me
Mm-hmm.
because you're making my life so difficult. I got to get up and leave. Right.
Yeah.
And had
Yeah.
you been warm and fuzzy, I would not be standing here in this chair talking to you today. I'd still be working for that stupid
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And I never would have found the courage. So
Yeah.
sometimes the narcissists, if you can look at them in the right light, they are your greatest gift. And
Mm-hmm.
Brenda Lee, you're absolutely right. It's about
Absolutely.
establishing boundaries. It's about
Mm-hmm.
giving you that opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to try on what it feels like to set a boundary, right?
Yeah. And to add to that great point that she gave, you have an opportunity to learn who you are,
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
your
yeah.
gifts are.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times they're attracted to us because of our light,
Yes,
because our empathic ability to care,
yeah,
because of our ability to see hope and be optimistic, because of our ability to actually want to do the work
yeah,
within ourselves. A lot
yeah,
of narcissists, they have issues themselves, but instead of dealing with it, they put a cover over it and they create this whole image, and that is what they project out to the world. But behind closed doors, they're loathing, they're hurting, they reject themselves, and
yeah.
they're unwilling to do the work.
That's a really good point. And I know as I teach numerology and we talk about karmic debts and such, there is the number 19 has
Mm-hmm.
a tendency, and I'm not going to paint everybody with the same brush. Not everybody who is born on the 19th day or has a 19 in their chart is a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that it's very common for the 19s, those who are born on the 19th day or have a 19-1 personality or life path number or whatever. It's not uncommon for them to be narcissistic because they have such a huge issue related to their image.
Mm-hmm.
They really
Mm-hmm.
do not like
Mm-hmm.
to be embarrassed. They want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure everybody thinks they've got their shit together at all times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They can be the
Mm-hmm.
captain on the Titanic and the boat's going down, and they're like, "It's
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's all good. I've got it all
Mm-hmm.
under control." Inside, they're like spiraling around the drain, but they're
Mm-hmm.
too proud
Yeah.
to admit they don't have the answers, right? And they do not want to be
Mm-hmm.
called out for it. So
Right.
vulnerability is very, very difficult for them.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, they keep their cards really close.
Right. And, and,
Yeah.
and those who are able to see who they really are, you become a threat to them.
Yes. Oh,
And
yes.
they will
You're
stop
right.
at nothing
Yeah.
to go after those threats who have the potential of exposing who they really are.
Yeah.
Because that is really their worst nightmare, is to be seen, to be unveiled with who they are.
Alma's making a really good point here. She said, I didn't know who I was. My life was all about children. Now that they're grown, I'm working on finding myself and let
Woo!
everyone else do for themselves. Yeah, what a victory. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. High five, girlfriend. What a victory.
I
But you
love
know
it.
what? Yeah, that's the thing with that is a lot of people once that role, when the kids move out, it's like, who am I if I'm not a
Mhm.
mother? I mean, you're
Mhm.
always a mother if you have your
Mhm.
children, you're always a mother, but who am I if I'm not an active mom? When they retire, who am I if I'm not a school teacher?
Mhm.
And there are some life path numbers that just have a really hard time with it.
Yeah.
The ones that are the fours, for example,
Mhm.
they like structure, they like routine, they like to know what's going on, they want
Mhm.
predictability, they want to be able to get up on Monday morning and say, okay, this is what I got to do today.
Mhm.
There
Mhm.
are some numbers that are just more predisposed to needing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone totally off topic.
No, this is good though. I love the questions, and I love to hear the healing and
Yeah.
where they are. I mean, it's a vulnerable and a beautiful thing to say, hey, this is what I've noticed about me, and this is what I'm working on. I love to hear people say that. I don't care what they've been through, but just not that I don't care, but I love to hear people say, I'm going to recover. I am working through this, because there are many that don't want to out of fear or too much pain or what have you. I get it, but
yeah, it's you're absolutely right. And it really all does amount to choice, right? How we choose to respond to everything. I mean, if you want to be taken advantage of by a narcissist, that's your choice.
Yeah.
That is your choice. And you got to ask yourself, what am I getting from it?
Yeah.
There's a benefit. You don't put yourself in misery unless you're getting something out of it. If it's because people can see you as the victim and you get the attention because you're a victim, then that's the payoff, right? It might be a poor choice, but the payoff is that you get the attention that you're looking for. So you have to really dig deep and look at, why am I putting up with this?
Right. And I think, I think it's beneficial for people to know about some of the traits, what narcissists look like, how they move, whether that's someone in your life or not, because the earlier you can get out of a narcissistic relationship, particularly platonic or romantic or things of that nature, the better, because the less damage that they can do. The longer you're in that relationship, psychologically you are injured, emotionally you're injured, your identity, it becomes hard and almost, shredded almost. And when you come out, there's so much rebuilding. It's possible. There's a lot of rebuilding that has to take place. And some people say the work is too much. I don't care. I'll just skip this part and just pretend it never happened. But it will continue to show up unless you do that shadow work and start, getting through some of that.
And it boils down to your level of worthiness.
That
again comes right back to you, doesn't it?
Yes.
It comes right back to you. It's about how worthy do I feel? Am I worth it?
Yes. Yes.
Am I worth it to fight the fight, kind of thing? I mean, I'm sure you had to dig really deep to be able to find a level of self-worth that you could.
Yeah. I know. I just didn't want. I said my story can't end like this. That was what went through my head throughout all the pain, the loss of relationship, the shock of, oh my gosh, what have been through. And then I was a single mom with a teenage daughter, and I'm like, I can't leave her like this either. And I just rolled up my sleeves and said, okay, this is hard as hell. But I'm going to get through this because I have so much more of my life to live. This is not going to define the rest of my life.
But I'll bet you went through a whole lot of I should have known better moments.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Self-blame, right?
Oh, yes. Especially because it was repetitive. After one cold, you feel that way. 5 colds, you're like, okay, Nikki, what do you not see? Like, open your eyes, okay? But that speaks to how much I was unwilling to see, that I would just believe the best with people. I wanted, oh, you were a spiritual guide person. Yes, you got to be right. I had no self-worth. I put my own intuition down. I didn't believe my own voice or my own inner compass to guide me. So I was a mess. But it took 5 times, all these relationships, for me to say, okay, enough. Where did you go? Let's find you. Are you still alive? And I found a little piece of me and was able to just expand and,
But you chose you.
Yes, I did.
And your daughter, right? I love that. I just want to have a shout out. Carrie Ann from Newfoundland. Oh my God, girlfriend, I hope you're okay over there. I know you get slammed with Fiona. We got slammed with it here too. So we're getting through it, but you guys got it much worse. So I'm not sure if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, but sending my love to you. And Penny, hey, good to see you too. That's good. Really great that you're here. Alma's saying, I did that to avoid confrontation, but every time it was worse. That's the power I was giving him. I said, nope, you won't take my spirit. I love that. But you know what I would probably say differently, Alma? I would look at him and say, right now, I am choosing to take back my spirit. Because when you speak to a narcissist in that way, when they're pushing your buttons and they're trying to make you feel like garbage, if you're crying or you're depressed or you're angry or whatever, reach out to that guy or gal and say, you know what? Right now, I'm just choosing to be pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing to be upset. And what you do when you say that, the narcissist goes, what? What? Wait, what? Wait, whoa. That's not, this isn't how this is supposed to be played, right? It's my job to piss you off.
Mm-hmm.
What is this, right? And eventually they go, you're not worth it to me, right? And that behavior will lessen. Am I wrong, Nikki?
No, you're absolutely right. And that has to come from that inner connection that you've established to say, wait a minute, I'm dusting the dust off of me. I'm getting up. This is not what I want for my life.
We disarm them by saying that we are choosing to feel whatever it is they hope to make us feel.
Mm-hmm.
If you even if you feel like they are making you feel that way, that's impossible. But anyway, if you're feeling that way, that's okay. But own it. Just say, listen, I'm choosing right now to feel pissed off. Because then you're standing in your power and you disarm them. They got nothing to push back because you're not worth their time.
And the greater voice, besides what comes out your mouth, and for some people, they have to declare it like that to open up their throat chakra and say, I am really releasing this in the air. But the bigger shockwave from that is actually doing it, because they don't believe that we'll walk away. And sometimes we don't have to give them our whole plan. You know what your plan is and you roll it out, because they expect you. What they do in the beginning is they create the codependent bond. They listen to you, they woo you, they hear all your stories, they will give their ear to you, and then they start to, they start to create this dependency on them to be there to support you. And once they know that codependent bond is attached, then they just treat you however, because in their mind, you're never going to disengage. You're never going to leave. So it doesn't matter anyway. But what if you did? What if you did?
Yeah. Yeah. And don't they hate being left?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Again, the image, right?
Yeah.
How dare she leave me or he leave me?
And the thing about, to add to that, we cannot save the narcissist in our lives, whether it's parents, family, child, friend, romantic partner, spouse. You cannot save that narcissist. They have to come to the point that they want to be helped. And a lot of them don't. Like you talked about earlier, like they have issues with being vulnerable, being open and discussing some of they don't want to do that. That's why they actually exhibit narcissistic abuse behavior patterns. They don't want to go there. So a lot of people stay because in their mind, the empaths, the HSPs, certain numbers, the 11s, the 9s, or what have you, I can fix him. I can fix her. They just need more love. Maybe if they got more love from me, then they would change. No, you can't. You have to support you and find and get to safety so that you can be better.
Yeah. If you know what, I think, you're absolutely right. And I feel like if you're going to engage in a relationship with somebody, make sure that that's somebody that you know is willing to work on themselves.
Yes.
That they can actually say, I got to work on that, or I'm not perfect. I'm taking a course, or I'm reading a book, or check out their bookshelves.
Yeah. Do they have a bookshelf?
Man, anytime I would ever go out with a guy, the first thing I want to do is check out his bookshelf. What's he reading? Not that I dated many men, but it's just like, what are you reading? Like, what's that kind of thing? I guess these days you look at what groups are they liking and stuff on Facebook. It's been a while since I did that. But anyway, so anybody have any other questions for Nikki? This is a great opportunity to talk to the expert. I mean, she is a certified trauma recovery coach, right? She has seen it. She has been it. She has lived it. She has done it. She got all the t-shirts in all the colors, right? So she's quite a warrior when it comes to this. But
can I talk a little bit about the course? The workshop that I'm going to offer.
Absolutely, of course.
So I feel like this is such a strategic time for people who are healing, who are in narcissistic relationships, especially narcissistic family dynamics. And this is why I'm offering this workshop. It's a 1-day workshop. It's November the 19th. I think it's going to be from 11 to 3:30. And if people are interested and they sign up, and you can sign up by going to my website and putting your email in. I will see the notation and you'll get a discount off between now and the 27th, which is next Tuesday, I believe, or Wednesday. And basically what we're going to do, it's going to be informative. I'm going to talk about roles and rules in the narcissistic family. A lot of times we don't know that we're giving roles and expectations that are never voiced, but family dynamics are set up that way. And we live those roles out even when we leave our families, and we're not aware of that.
No,
For
so
instance,
true.
my role was the scapegoat role. And that is a role that absorbs the family's dysfunction, the family's shame, the family's issues. You get the family blame. I liken it into a coat rack. So all the stuff the family doesn't want to deal with, they throw it on you. And energetically, you feel like it's your fault. You take the blame and you try to fix the family because you don't like all those coats on your coat rack. Well, what happens if you're not aware of that role? And you leave the family dynamic, you become an adult, you get in different groups, you start dating, you start gravitating to people that will actually potentially do the same thing. Now you're trying to fix this person. Now you're trying to fix that person. And this is how they treat you as the fixer. If they don't want to deal with their issues, they project and blame you. You'll have friends that don't want to take accountability. If they hurt you, they'll blame you. This was my life. And so unless we know what roles we were given, it's hard to break out of that pattern within the family. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to do some role-playing exercises in the course. We're going to do some boundary work. We're going to create a bill of rights for you as a family member. We're going to do a lot of self-care toolbox and so much more. So it's going to be interactive. There will be a portion where you can share some of your story amongst a safety group, a community within the course and the workshop, excuse me. So it's for one day. The cost is $300, but if you need to make arrangements, you can reach out to me and we can see what we can do. I want to honor people during the family time this time of the year, but we'll have some fun. We'll get some tools, we'll learn, and I want to help empower you to be able to deal with this season, this year and going forward. So come join us November 19th. It's on a Saturday.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
And if you need more information, go to my website, type your email in. I'll be sending out updates and I'll talk about it again next week. And the Seekers community. Sorry, I messed up the name.
Clarity Seekers community.
Yes. Sorry. So come join us. We'll have
and listen, guys, if you even want just well, you already had kind of hey Schlig, nice to see you. If you want a taste of how Nikki teaches, she is phenomenal. She really is phenomenal. She knows how to hold a crowd. She knows how to teach really well. She just speaks from the heart. It's always entertaining. So she's already done a really great workshop in the Clarity Seekers community. How can we not wrap our heads around that today? Clarity Seekers community. There we go. There it is. She's already got a course in there when we talk about narcissistic behavior and how do we handle it? How does the energetically sensitive people, how do we handle narcissistic behavior? So she did an awesome workshop for us not that long ago. And she'll be back with us on Tuesday, the 25th of October, 7 p.m. Eastern time, where this won't be just typing in questions, guys. This is live. This is going to be live on a Zoom chat. So you will actually be integrated into the event with her and myself. You'll be able to ask whatever questions you want. If you're curious about the Clarity Seekers community, go to my website, annperrynumerologist.com. And at the very top, you'll see it. So it's open for $22 a month right now. And there's some really kick-ass bonuses for joining. So check it out. If you want to just join us for one event, that's fine. You can cancel afterwards if you want to. But there's like 50 masterclasses in there already of some pretty phenomenal speakers. So I would love for you to check us out. So Thanks so much, Nikki. Oh my God, I
You're
so enjoy
welcome,
spending
Ann.
time with you.
Me too. I love having these chats. It's amazing. And everyone that's live for your questions and your comments, and especially the ones that are doing the work and, honoring themselves. It's amazing. Kudos to you.
Yeah. High fives all the way around, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. And thanks for showing up. We really appreciate it. It was fun hanging out with you. And, got any other questions after we're off the air, go ahead and post them in the chat areas, and we'll be glad to answer them as we can. And make sure that you check out Nikki's website at nikkigspeaks.com. That's where you can check out her course that's coming up on November 19th, learning how to really handle the holidays like a star. So
it's not up on the website just yet, but you
okay.
can sign up, put your email in. If you want to contact me directly, you can do all my socials are on my website, Instagram, Facebook. You can private message me if you want to know more as well. But I will be sending out updates this week regarding the workshop, November 19th. Thanks so much.
I also want to mention too that Nikki does, she's a coach, right? So you can actually go onto her website and book some time with her.
Yes.
So she's got a really great discovery call opportunity that you can go in there. She's got all kinds of other options and packages and such. So if you really want to get serious about your healing and knowing how to hold your own and set the boundaries and whatnot with narcissistic behavior, she is your gal. So check her out. Okay, guys, love you all. Hoping you're doing really well. And November, there you go, Esther. Give that to yourself as
wow. Happy birthday coming up. Yes.
So anyway, looking forward to seeing you guys soon. Thanks for being here tonight. You take care. Bye for now.
Bye.